What's going on, everybody? This is number 8 Axel, and today I've got something a bit different for you. I'm going to be going over how to set up and how to modify a Nitrado gaming server for Ark Survival Evolved on the PlayStation. So the first thing you're going to want to do, obviously, is go to their website. Once you create an account, you're going to be brought to a page similar to this, where it's going to have all the servers you currently got running. As you can see, I've got a handful as well as a few that I've been given a guest access to. We can cover that in a later video. So if you're looking to get a new one, you're going to go under your name. You're going to want to go to Order Service. Then you're going to get all of this options. You're going to want Public Server. You're going to want to select Ark Survival Evolved PS4 or PC if you're going to do PC. If you're doing Xbox One, you have a notice here. You can only get them through the Microsoft Store as of right now. Don't know if that's going to change or not. It's then going to have you select where you want to have it hosted from. If you want to run a latency measurement, it'll tell you which one's got the lowest ping rate. For me, it's Los Angeles, though New York's pretty close, so whatever. Go ahead and hit next. Now it's just going to bring up a bunch of information asking you how many slots per player. The more slots, the more it's going to cost. Minimum you can have for Ark is 10, so there's going to be a minimum of 13 US dollars. So if you want to up it, you can up it. As you can see, price goes up as you go up, all the way up to 200. For this one, I'm just going to put it at 10. You can opt to have a hardware performance upgrade. This can help a little bit if you're starting to get lag or a lot of people on your server, but it does cost an extra $5 to $15, so I don't personally like it. Then it's an advance payment. You can do 3, 30, 90, or a year. I'm going to do 3 because I'm not going to be keeping this. You just go ahead and hit continue. Sorry, I got a bit cold. Next, it's going to bring you up to when you want it installed. You can choose any time within the next, I believe, 5 days. We're going to go ahead and choose the earliest time so it can get set up immediately. It'll then ask if you want to enable automatic extension. We're not going to, so we're just going to go ahead and hit save. So then it's going to bring you back to this page. It should then appear at the bottom of your purchased. So these are the ones I own. These are ones that I've been given access to by other users. It'll then take a little bit to get it set up. Once it's set up and running, you'll be able to access the web interface. Here is where you could extend it. For an example, I'm going to go with my other one. So you go and hit extend. You'll be given a screen like this, and you can choose, again, 3, 30, 90, or a year. I'm going to go ahead and do the 13. So you hit continue. It'll bring you to this last confirmation page. You hit extend now, and it'll go ahead and put you up another 30 days. So if you want to edit guest access rights, so this would be people who can access your server web panel, which we'll get to in a second. They can change all your settings, stuff like that. You can change game, change subdomain. I haven't really gotten into this, so don't think it works for PS4 either, so I just leave this alone. You can change slots, runtime, and location. So obviously, if you want more players, you go here. If you want to extend it again, you can go here, I believe. You can also change where it's hosted from. Change, down, and upgrade is where you can turn it off, turn it on. The showing global server list. Nitrado has a global server list where all the servers are shown. If you click this, it'll be shown there. The web interface login is where we're going to be going next. So that's going to open in a new tab, as you can see up here. And it's going to bring you to a web page that has all of the information for your server. If you've got a low time left, you're going to get a little notification here about it. Down here is just going to be some useful information, CPU usage. So that's how much of the CPU's processing power is being used on the server. This is always going to be pretty high. I believe in the 90s and even 100 at times. That's a good thing. Memory usage, that shows how much RAM is being used by megabytes. That one is normally about midway. When you start seeing lag is when you're going to see it up and high. Players, that's going to show how many players you have. On this one, you'll get two graphs. There'll be an orange line that stays static and a green. The orange line is the max players, while the green is the active live amount of players. So this is the dashboard under information. Then you're going to have event logs. This would be where if anyone makes a change to the server settings, it's going to be logged here. Log files is going to have a couple things. This one doesn't have any yet, but you're going to see like server logs. You'll get the current log and then the last state of the server. So if you restart the server, it'll save that log. If you restart again, that first log will be wiped, so you can only see about two. You'll get a restart log and then a crash stack. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do if you get a crash stack. Most of that needs to be fixed by the game, and we can't do that. Server check. This would be for if you think there are some errors. This will tell you if there are any. Now we're going to go ahead and get actually into the settings. So general is all of your base settings, simple things. We'll get into expert mode in another video. That changes the entire layout of your panel, and it takes some time to get used to, so that'll be its own video. Server name, this is where you can change your server's name. By default, they're all going to be Nitrado.net game server. So let's go ahead and name it, I don't know, example. Then the message of the day, this is what appears when you first log into the game. There's going to be a window that pops up. So again, by default, it says this ARC is hosted by Nitrado.net, so we're just going to put sample text. Then the MOTD duration is how long it's going to stay up. So by default, it's 20. You can put it up to as ever long you want. Longer the messages, obviously, the longer you're going to want. You can go to about 60 characters before it cuts you off. So I would say no more than probably 90 seconds because some players, especially once you start getting buildings, might take some time to log in. Server password. So this is important to know the difference between server and an admin password. Server password is if you want to lock your server so only you or some friends can join, you're going to put a password here. Admin password is going to be the actual admin command password. So if you want to use things like GCM, other cheats like that, you need to put this password in. It's going to generate a random one. So, like this one, it's just HT6TDTXI. So that's just a random one that was generated when I created the server. Language for the server. So this will actually affect in-game what language the menu and items are in. The map, so you're going to be able to select what map it is. So keep in mind, for Scorched, Aberration, Extinction, they are going to have to obviously have the DLCs to access that map. Restart countdown. So this is whenever you restart the server, how long it's going to be until it stops. It will send a message saying server shut down in 60 seconds or something like that. Gameplay log, you don't need to worry about this for PlayStation 4. Survival of the Fittest isn't available. Active event, and this is where you can change the holiday event. So currently, I don't believe there are any going on. They just finished the Winter Wonderland, but if you want to say do Fear Evolved, the Turkey Trial, which is kind of weird right now, you can go with the summer, Easter, Valentine's Day. You can choose whichever one you want. Spectator password. So this allows people to use spectator mode without being able to use any other admin commands. If you're running a PvP server, I highly recommend not putting one in because if someone finds it, they can obviously use it for some kinky and weird stuff. Optimize RAM usage. I highly recommend turning this on, especially if you're going to be doing a large server. It just increases the performance a little bit. Primitive Plus, if you want to have a Primitive Plus server, which is a total ARC conversion, you can check this. You will have to change the game mode in the main menu ARC to access your server if you do that. Start with backup. If you're having an issue with lag or something happened, you can select a backup. This one obviously doesn't have any yet. This I would highly recommend you do not touch. It is completely broken on the PlayStation. Procedural maps are custom maps that can be generated on their own. You don't want to play with this. Again, you'd have to select procedural or dynamic generated map, which is experimental. I wouldn't recommend it. Admin log, again, all of this does not do you any good except the admin public chat logging. This would let anybody on the server see who's using a command. So if you were logged in and used GCM, everyone on the server would see that. This does not unfortunately work. The one about the admins, where only admins can see it, that one does not work. Admin log, again, it doesn't do you any good because it's only for PC servers if you decide to connect an Archon software. Restrictions. So this is for if you want to allow cross-arc, which is server-to-server transfers. If you only own one server, you can check all of these because you probably don't want somebody accidentally downloading something into your server. Disable dino taming. This is another self-explanatory. If you want to disable taming of dinosaurs, you check this. Random supply crates. So supply drops kind of have a loot pool. If you want to make them completely random, you check that. Disable weather fog. This would disable that fog effect you get during rain, so we're going to check that. Gameplay. So this is where some of the more important options come in. If you have people with tribes, this will let you choose in seconds how often they can change their tribe name. So if I change my tribe name, I have to wait another 15 seconds before I can change it again. Flying inside caves, I don't know how much this works. I've been able to fly inside caves without much problem, even with this not checked, so I don't know about this. So we're going to go ahead and check it anyway, because I'm pretty sure it does work in some spots. I just haven't had it. Enable third person, so this allows people to toggle third person. Honestly, it's one that's just good to have checked. Some people like third person, and it's kind of unfair to take it away from them. Enable crosshair, so obviously when you pull certain weapons out, you get a crosshair, so that you can turn it on. I think it's kind of dumb. You have to opt to turn it on. Enable hardcore, so if you want to have a hardcore server, you highlight this. Hardcore, if your character dies, you go back to level 1. Status notifications, I would keep this on because this can let people know when someone in their tribe joins and leaves. This join notification is just the general one, so everyone who joins, you'd be able to see who joins. Leave message, same thing. Local chat, most of these actually just kind of self-explanatory. So, floating name, player on map. I highly recommend activating this one because this will show you where you are on the map in the game. Difficulty offset. So here's some of the actual ones you need to look into. So difficulty offset, I believe, can be no higher than 1 point something or 30. So I'm going to put it at 30. This changes how high the dinos get. The higher the dinos, the higher their stats, and the longer they'll take to tame. Override official difficulty. We're just going to put a random number in there. So this is a multiplier for this, where it just kind of creates a larger gap. Man. Maximum structure count. So this limits how many structure items you can have within a certain radius. This I almost highly recommend to change. I'm going to put it just at a stupid high number. Anything marked with this means that if you put it to an extreme value, you can experience lag. So if you don't want super large bases, you can lower this number. If you want people to have larger bases, you can raise it. Day cycle scale, so how fast do you want the day to go by? This one is one of the ones that is flipped, where 1 is standard, you go 0.5, days are twice as long, or like 1.5 times as long. If you go 2, days go by twice as fast. So we're going to just put 0.5 for an example. Nighttime scale, same thing. We're going to put 5, so night goes by 5 times as fast. And this is just kind of the general overall for the day. So these both are based off of this. So if I have this set to 0.5 and this is 5, So this is going to be 5 times faster than this setting. This is going to be 0.5 times faster than whatever this setting is. So in this case, it'd be my days are even slower. Prevent disproportional harvests. This is a good one if you're worried about people not getting enough items when they're using higher level tools like your Ascendant pickaxes. But at the same time, when this is activated, this won't work. So I'm going to turn that off because that clamps how much you can get. This is if you're having a lot of lag, and there are people who have a lot of buildings and maybe a swamp or a snow biome. You can only use this once per save game, and everything built in a swamp or snow biome will be wiped. Destroy all wild creatures. I honestly think this should be checked because, especially if you're having issues where dinos for events aren't spawning. So basically, what this does is at the start of the next server instance, it will wipe every wild dino off the map and spawn in new ones. Dinos that have been tamed will not be affected. All item containers lockable. If you're playing PvP, PvE, I recommend this. This allows anyone to lock whatever container, fridges, smithies. That way, like if you're playing PvE, someone leaves the door open. Yeah, it's that's your fault, but someone can't just walk in and steal everything from all your stuff. This would allow. So this one is for spike walls. If you want to allow them to damage wilds or dinos that aren't being ridden, I'd say you can turn it on. It can start lagging if a bunch of dinos are hitting one spike wall, so be aware of that. Disable loot crate. Obviously, this would disable your orbital drops, your crates in the caves, and all that. Hard turret limit in range. So what this does is if you have a turret limit, which is farther down the page, the hard limit is if you go over that limit, turrets just shut down until you go below it. Otherwise, once you hit, say, 100 turrets, you can't put another one down. Creative mode, do not check this unless you're doing private server, because this will allow anybody to use creative mode. Or unless you just want to create a chaos server, then by all means, go ahead. Prevent offline PvP. So this is if you want to allow bases to have extra protection when nobody is online for that tribe. So what that would do is after everyone in that tribe logs off, after 5 seconds, their structures get that offline damage prevented tag on them, which appears in blue. This would make it so if someone decides to try and raid them, you can't raid them unless they're online. This is always, this is up to you and what your players want, obviously. The rest of this is mostly just some more basic stuff. Whether you want to see the damage text, which is how much damage an attack deals to a target. Disable dino imprint buff. So this is if someone is riding a imprinted dino, they can get a small bonus. I believe it's to resistance. You can disable this if you don't want that. This will not disable any stat boosts dinos get for a full imprinted dino. So this one is if you want to allow anybody in a tribe to help with imprinting on a dino. Now, if this is checked and someone else does the imprinting, and they ride that dino, they will not get the dino buff. Only whoever imprinted or claimed the dino when it hatched can get that boost. This is if you want to allow automatic turrets such as the heavy auto turret or tech turrets on things like rafts or platform saddles. Obviously, if you don't want them, you're going to uncheck that. That would prevent people from creating, say, a Brontosaurus with a bunch of turrets on it so that they can just walk up and turret down someone's dinos on a PvP server. If you want that, you can leave it checked. This would prevent people from building in certain caves and other areas that have a lot of resources like metal, obsidian, again, this is up to personal preference. Uh, Non-permanent diseases. This would make it so that if you get like swamp fever, when you die, you don't keep it. Prevent diseases would completely disable any form of disease. So again, swamp fever, can't get it. Prevent tribe alliances. This would allow it so that tribes cannot create alliances. If you have offline PvP, this will not work to begin with. So keep that in mind. So if you're going to have offline PvP, you can't ally with another tribe. Raid dino feeding. This is if you want titanosaurs to be permanently tamed, which means generally when you tame a titanosaur, you can't feed it, and you lose it after normally about 24 hours, I think. This would allow you to do that. So if you're running a PvP server and you do this, be real careful because someone could keep a titanosaur around for a week or 2 weeks and just use it to hit bases. Hit marker. This like in Call of Duty, you're shooting, it'll give you that hit marker effect. No fish loot. This disables non-meat fishing loot, so if you're fishing, you're not going to find anything besides meat. Honestly, there's no reason to check this. It's just kind of I don't even know why it's a thing. But that's my opinion. As always, it's up to you. This it gets kind of more into some of your cleanup and your management stuff. Fast Decay and Snap core structures, I would highly recommend checking this. This would make it so if someone just starts placing random foundations everywhere or starts pillaring, those structures will decay with 5-fold speed, so they decay 5 times faster than an actual built base. Tribe log destroy enemy structures. This is only useful on PvP, so if you check this, this means that if someone destroys my base, I can see what tribe did it. If it's unchecked, I just see that somebody did it. I don't know who did it. Force Flyer Explosive. This would make it so that flyers besides Quetzals and Wyverns, if you put a C4 on them, by default, you can't fly with them. If you check this, they can. This is another good one that is good to have. After 2 days, real time, if someone does not have a pipe connected to a non-pipe structure and there's no allied player nearby, it would automatically destroy it. That's good to have if someone gets wiped and they choose to not come back because of it, but they still have pipes because pipes can be a pain to destroy. So I would honestly check that. It would allow a air supply crate to spawn on top of someone's structure. So if you want to do that, you can check that. Otherwise, they won't spawn on top of a structure. Auto destroy structures. If you set this, any structures that violate your decay timers will automatically be destroyed, other than by default, where a player would actually have to walk up and manually destroy them, even if it's not theirs. Again, this one is similar, except on a reboot, any decayed dinos will just be deleted. Maximum amount. So this is the maximum amount of dinos that a single player can tame. So by default, a player can tame 250 dinos. This would also be the tribe limit. So tribes can only have 250 dinos. I don't think this works. This allows stamina to regen while flying. For some reason, I'm pretty sure it does not work. You can check it, see if it works, but I haven't had any luck with it actually working. I know for a fact while players riding it will not regen, but it might if you dismount it. Allow multiple C4. So this again is a self-explanatory one. If you check it, you can put like as much C4 on a dino as you want. Allow platform saddle multi-floor. So on rafts and platform saddles by default, you can only have a single floor. If you try and build up higher, it'll give you an error saying you can't. If you check it, obviously you could do it. Unlimited respecs. Now this would mean by default you can only use a respec or mind wipe tonic once per level. If you check this, you can use as many times as you want regardless of your level. However, Ark did implement a thing where you can only do one every 24 hours now, and as far as I know, there's no way to change that. Prevent spawn animation. Every first time you create a survivor, you do get that weird spawn animation where they get up, they look at their arm, and they scratch it. You can disable that. Corpse locator. This would create a beam of light that will help people find where they died. It would be if you want to make it so you can clip structures in a certain natural terrain. I highly recommend activating it because sometimes it's kind of dumb about where you can and cannot. Um, this would be the fast decay is time. I believe this one's in minutes. About the fast decay structures, so those structures that are unconnected set to quickly decay. If you don't want to touch this, you don't have to. Harvest amount multiplier. This allows you to get slightly better server performance, but people aren't going to be getting so much for rare items, so keep that in mind. This will clamp all spoils to the item's maximum spoiling time. So what this would do is if someone has discovered an infinite spoil exploit, it would prevent that. So I highly recommend checking that because on PS4 you don't have any mods that alter spoiling time, so it's not going to cause any issues on that front. PC, you might want to consider that. Let's see this. I have not played with this, so this will be up to you if you want to adjust it or not. Enable idle player kick. So this would allow you to kick players who have just been idling on the server for so long. There's a kick idle players period lower down in the page. I believe that one's also in seconds. I highly recommend having it checked because that would keep someone from just kind of sitting there not doing anything and keeping a server slot occupied. No anti-speed hack. I highly recommend leaving this on because otherwise someone with a speed hack can come on and that's going to cause issues. Otherwise, if you don't mind having cheaters like that on, you can check it. Biome walls. I haven't seen any difference with the biome walls, so that's, again, if you want to activate it, you can. If not, you don't need to worry about it. Only destroy auto structures. This makes it so that non-foundations are not auto-destroyed. But if the floor that they're on gets auto-destroyed, they get auto-destroyed. So fences and that won't be auto-destroyed. I highly recommend not having that on because it does encourage pillaring. Force respawn. So this makes it so that I believe it's weekly. So I think you can only go to 1, maybe. I don't know. I don't use it, so. But this makes it so that once a week, it forces respawns of dinos to keep certain dinos like the Basilos and Spinos from becoming depopulated. This will become more of an issue as your server gets older, so you can use that. Or, again, there's a force wipe all wilds up higher in the page. Only just decay unsnap core structures. So this would make it so that people who are pillar and foundation spamming, it only decays those. I would keep it if you don't want people's bases to be auto-destroyed. Otherwise, you can uncheck it and anyone will die. Trivia. So this is only if you're going to be running a CrossArk server, which we can get to my next video. So this will allow how long it will be until items, dinos, and characters will expire. Meaning if you aren't on within that time, which is in seconds, to pull those items out of the obelisk or to download your character, it's gone. Max number of player in tribe. This is the maximum players you can have in a tribe. If it's set to 0, there is no limit. Okay, so this is a big one. Limiting your turret count. Limit turrets in range. How many turrets in your server do you want to have? Well, here's how it works. If this is checked, the limit's actually on. You uncheck it, it's not. The range. This is in Unreal Engine units. 10,000's a good number to have. It's equivalent to 33 foundations. So I place one down, 33 foundation range is where that count begins. Number of turrets. How many turrets can you have? So in this case, I can only have 100 turrets in a 33 foundation radius. Okay, if you don't want a PvP on your server, you check this. Again, offline PvP. This is that log off interval I was talking about earlier. Change gamma. This is if you want to allow gamma edits in PvP. Um, this also affects if your server's on hardcore. To some, being able to increase your gamma could be considered an unfair advantage. Structure decay, dino decay. Again, this is whether or not you want to allow decay for structure on PvP. That would be all the settings we talked about earlier. Friendly fire. Man, sorry. But still got that cold. So, K building, PvE, all that. Friendly fire, right. So, the friendly fire is, if this is disabled or unchecked, if I was to hit my tribe mate, I can damage them. If it's checked, I cannot. Cave building. In PvE, this would allow building in caves. This would probably be the same caves that affect the flyers. Flyer carry. So certain dinos that fly can pick up characters. In PvE, if this is checked, you can do that. If it's not checked, you cannot pick up. I think it's both wild and tame dinos as well as survivors. This is here because people can pick up, say, a player's dino and then fly it to lava on the island or on Ragnarok and kill it while it's a PvE server, because that would be considered environmental damage, which players and dinos still take. Again, this allows that supply drop, but this one will only be on PvE. PvE timer, I'm not sure how this one specifically is supposed to operate. I believe that's if you check this, PvP will not function, and you'll need that if you want to use the system time, which would be like if you want to use real time for your in-game clock. If you want auto PvE, this would be how much time in seconds until it's activated. On PvE, you can allow tribe war, which if two tribes don't like each other, they can declare war for a mutually agreed on period of time. This setting would allow them to agree if they want to actually cancel it. This has to be done before it starts, though, obviously. Alright, so that's going to be it for this one. This is just kind of covering all your world settings. Next video is going to be covering your multipliers. That's going to be a bit more in depth, so I will see you guys in that one.